Hi guys, welcome back to Just Call Me Boats. Today I'm going to show you how to build an above ground garden box using the Hügelkultur method of filling it, and you're just going to need some few simple tools. I'll show you those in a minute, and it's just a few simple supplies that you can pick up at any big box store. Do your research, try to get the best product for the best price, and here we go. So here's a list of items that you're going to need to build this. Now you can build it any length or any width that you need to fit your lifestyle or your yard or whatever. I'm building mine 12 foot long, 3 foot wide. So I have two 12 foot long 2x4s and two 12 foot long 1x4s, an 8 foot long 1x4 and an 8 foot long 2x4. As far as tools go, here's what you're going to probably want to use. It's just a small assortment of tools. I have two cordless drills. You could use a corded drill if that's all you have. I'm going to be using a T20 Torx bit on one drill and a small drill bit for the other one, so I can pre-drill my holes. You're also going to need a cutoff wheel on a grinder, which I have here. You're also going to need some hearing protection because, believe me, when you cut that steel, you're going to want it. It's really loud. And you're going to need your measuring tape and a cutoff saw of your choice. You can either use a circular saw or you can use a saw like I have here. You're also going to need an assortment of screws. I have number 9x2s, number 9x3 1/8, and number 12x1 inch pole barn screws, and these are used to attach the steel to the wooden frame that I'll show you how I build. You're also going to want a couple of bottles of nice cool water when you're working outside. It's kind of a warm day today and you need to keep yourself hydrated. So that's about it. Oh, forgot to mention your hearing protection, and possibly a sawhorse will help you keep the wood level when you're cutting it, as well as the steel. Now to do the end boards, I'm going to be cutting these 36 inches long. The end result will be a little bit wider than 36 inches when I put it all together, and you'll see that. So this first cut is for the end 2x4 for the main frame. So that's the first cut. Again, measuring it out 36 inches. Okay, now I'm ready for the second one. And you're going to do the same thing on each corner. Until you get your frame put together. Just snug them down, and that's all you got to do. All right, we have our frame put together now. Put 2 screws on each corner. I'm going to show you how to put the top plate on using the 1x4s. You just kind of set them in place. You want to make sure that you have at least an inch of space underneath on each side, and that's so when you put your steel in there, you're partially covering the steel, so you don't have any sharp edges there to cut you with or anything like that. Because they're 12 foot, you just square up the end, pre-drill your hole again. Doesn't have to be precise, just have to get it in there. And set your screw. That's all there is to it. Now you're going to want to go all the way down through here about every 12, 18 inches or so, and sink another screw. And you're going to do that for the full length of this. So when you get these top plates on, you're going to want to measure to see your distance. And I've got 34 1/8 of an inch right here, and that's for the board that goes up here. So I have it set up over here. Measure out your 34 1/8 inch. This is a scientific method. Use your shoe. All right, that's in place. You do the same thing with this. Set your screws at about equal distance. They're not going to be 18 inches or anything like that. And get this put in place. Now, I put this flush with this end board. It gives me a little bit more overlap here, but if I centered this like I do these boards, then I'd have this big gap sticking out here. This is a little bit more aesthetic, and you may have noticed that we're using untreated lumber here. That's because we don't want any chemicals in our garden, and treated lumber could transfer chemicals into the garden area and into your plants. So that's about it on this. Just continue on until this is fastened down. Now here's what it should look like when you get it totally finished. You can see I have all of the 1x4s screwed down in place, and we're ready to attach the steel. To do that, we'd have to flip it over, and the steel attaches on the inside of the 2x4s, and we'll show you how to do that in just a second. I'm going to put the camera down so we can flip this over. Okay, this is flipped over. You can see inside here where that inch that I told you needed on the inside. This is where it shows itself, and the steel is going to attach to that. And I still have to cut the steel. You cut it in 2-foot sections, and here we go. Okay guys, we're going to start on the next step. We're going to be cutting the steel. I recommend getting some kind of gloves. I'm just using these cheap rubber backed gloves. The sheet metal is very sharp after you cut it. And if you don't have some kind of protection on your hands, you will get cuts on your hands. Just to do things safely, make sure you have some kind of gloves. Leather would be better. These will work in a pinch. And so let's get started. All right, guys, here we are with the steel. We're going to be cutting this in 24-inch sections. So you're going to need either a carpenter square or something a little bit more fancy like what I have here. You're also going to need your grinder. This is where the grinder comes in handy with that cutoff wheel. Now you can use it with a standard abrasive grit wheel. Those wear out pretty fast. Or you can buy yourself an actual steel cutting wheel that is permanent. That thing is cut a lot of steel, let me tell you. You're also going to need a measuring tape and something to mark with, and don't forget your hearing protection and eye protection. Got to do things safely. Like I said, we're going to be cutting this into 24-inch sections, and you could cut this with hand shears, but honestly, by the time you get done, your hand is going to be aching. So it's better off to use the grinder with the cutoff wheel to get the job done. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to cut the corner gable trim. This will be installed in the corners of the frames just to cover up the end of this open steel. Again, cut that 24 inches with your cutoff blade, or you can use shears again. All right, here's what it's going to kind of look like. You guys can see it's starting to take shape. I've got all my panels cut and kind of laid out in place. I've got the corner gable trim cut. It's not quite screwed in yet, but it's kind of standing in place right now. So you're going to want to put your gable corner trim in first, and then lay your steel panels in afterwards. And all you have to do is put 2 of those pole barn screws, 1 in each corner down at the bottom. Okay, I'm starting out with just the galvanized pole barn screws. I do have the green colored pole barn screws that I can use on the outside. You don't need too many of those on the outside though, because it's not going to show. All your screws are going to be on the inside here. And just zip them on in there. If they can stay in the socket, that is. Well. And that's it. Okay, I'm getting ready to install the first side panel. You're going to want to put them in the little valleys. 1 screw in each little valley. Just screw it on in there. Just have to come up about an inch or so. It doesn't, you don't have to be real super precise. Just about an inch or so in the valley. Just zip it on in. As you got to remember, you got a 2x4 behind this, so you got basically 4 inches to play with. Now when it comes to the next panel, You don't want to put a screw on that end, because your next panel's got to go in there first, and then you drive through the both of them. And you just keep going on like this all the way around until you're finished up. Alright guys,
that's it.
When you cut your panels, I cut them 24 inches wide, but the panels are 36 inches wide. So when you get to the end on the inside of your frame, you're going to have to cut off, oh let's see here, roughly 4 inches, because you're going to want to put your end inside this in the little valley here, and then you put your other end over here and just attach it. And then let me get this cut and I'll show you how that looks. Now that I've got it trimmed up, you can fit it right in there. Again, just put it right there in that valley. It should be good, golden. Alright guys, in this areas down here where that's going to separate from your corner piece, you're going to want to put a pole barn screw in. On this here, you're better off if you pre-drill the hole. It's a little bit easier. So that's all you got to do. And you do that at every joint where the two panels meet. You zip a screw in there just to keep those together. Okay, like I said, you're going to want to pre-drill your holes. It'll make it easier to get the screws through both panels. And you might want to just hold the panels so that they don't separate. It makes it a lot easier to get the screw in here. And that's all there is to that. Okay guys, when I cut this is 36-inch board. Your inside dimensions are going to be a little bit shorter than that, obviously. So you're going to have to cut the end panel, because these panels come stock at 36 inches in width. You just cut them to 24 inches in height, and then you have to trim in to get the stuff to fit in there. So I'm measuring right now at about 35 3/4 of an inch. Again, check your own measurements to make sure that you're cutting the steel at the right length to fit, and we'll be right back with that one. There we go. All right guys, for safety measures, after you screw the panels in and make them, nice and rigid, you're going to want to cut these off so you don't catch them on anything. Those are very sharp points, and they will cut you if you're not careful. You don't have to cut them off real bad, real short, but you do want to blunt the ends a bit. Now here's the finished product. This is what it should look like when you get it finished. We're getting ready to start on the Hügelkultur method, and that's why you see all of that cardboard laying over here to the side. That goes in first. That acts as a natural weed barrier, and of course you can tell in the background I have a lot of weeds around here. We'll first start with the cardboard, and then we're going to layer in some of our old firewood that we have. I have, you can see here, I have a cartload of it, and I have a whole bunch more elsewhere on my property. There's Molly. How you doing, Molly? Anyway, let's get started. Still recording. Okay, you're going to want to take your cardboard, just any cardboard. This is stuff from Amazon. We're just going to layer that into the bottom so that it forms a weed barrier. Just want to make sure that everything is flat.
I'm here for. She's your daughter.
Okay, now that we have all of our cardboard in the bottom, it's layered in there 2-3 inches thick. We're going to start layering in our wood. Now you don't have to use old firewood. You can, if you have a tree line near your place, you can use that to fill the box. You can also use leaves or your yard trimmings or grass clippings, anything that's biodegradable that will break down over time. You're going to want to layer that in about a foot, or not quite a foot, well, right around a foot thick, and then we're going to layer in some soil on top of that. Said you just throw your dirt in there. You're going to want to bring that dirt up to about 5-6 inches, well, maybe about 8 inches from the top, and then you're going to top it all off with your topsoil. Okay guys, it's been a few days since we last recorded, and a lot of things have happened. We don't need to know about that. Anyway, let me show you what we have here, and this is the level of fill dirt you're going to want to have in the box, and from this point we're going to finish filling up with our topsoil, and we'll be ready to plant. Okay, this is our fill dirt. As you can see, it's about 10-12 inches from the top of the box, and you can put a mixture of topsoil and compost in there, and that's what we're going to be doing. Let me show you how that looks when we get it done. Well, we have our first load of mixed soil put into the box here. What you're seeing is 1 bag of topsoil, 2 bags of
topsoil.
Excuse me, 2 bags of topsoil, and 1 bag of composted manure, and a little bit of peat moss, all mixed together in our wheelbarrow, and then we just added it to the box. We're going to keep doing that until the box is full.
She did, not anymore.
Okay, here's 1 bag of manure. We're just going to be mixing it here in the wheelbarrow. You can use a shovel or a pitchfork. We like to use a pitchfork. It kind of helps sift it a little bit. First bag of topsoil. We'll be putting one more bag of topsoil in here. Okay, you see what the soil, how much soil is in here. Oops. And we're going to go ahead and put in a little bit of peat. Now what the peat does is it helps the soil hold its moisture. And then
I think we might put a little too much peat in this time.
yeah, maybe. And then just kind of stir it to mix it in.
Or a piece of eight. Ooh, worms.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
already got worms.
Yeah, worms. They're good for your garden. They keep the soil aerated and everything else,
They help break down the wood.
and help
They break
with
down
the wood being broke down and all that good stuff. Okay, now we're going to put the soil inside the box.
Hoping it would.
All right, guys, when you're finished up, this should be right about the level you'll want the dirt to be at.
Much more and it'll wash out.
If you have much more than that, when it rains, it'll wash it out and you're just going to be wasting your dirt. As the wood that's in the bottom breaks down, you're going to have to add more soil to it. So it'll fall through, the dirt will fall through the air pockets and everything else, and it'll settle in the box, as well as the wood deteriorating from being buried. So you're going to have to add soil next year to bring the levels back up, and you're probably going to have to do this several times until all of the wood is broke down and feeding your soil with nutrients. We are not quite finished with this one. We're going to be adding a trellis system between the two boxes here, so that we can have plants like green beans and such growing up over them, over the trellis, and it'll make it so it's easier to harvest, and it'll provide some shade while you're gardening as well. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thanks again for watching, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell icon so that you'll be notified when I post another video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to respond to you as soon as possible. See you next time.